Happy Friday, Muskies. Next week is the last week of regular classes this semester. I'm Amira Savani.
And I'm Hunter Groff. This is Xavier News.
From the Xavier University Television Studio, this is Xavier News.
House Republicans passed a bill on Thursday declaring President Obama's executive actions regarding immigration to be, quote, null and void and without legal effect, end quote. The bill comes in response to Obama's efforts to curb deportations. Outraged Democrats, immigrant advocates, and the White House said the GOP was voting to tear families apart and eject parents. Ahead of the vote, Obama said, quote, rather than deport students and separate families and make it harder for law enforcement to do its job, I just want the Congress to work with us to pass a common sense law to fix that broken immigration system, end quote. For now, Republicans insist they must go on record denouncing what they described on the House floor as an outrageous power grab by Obama. Obama's executive order passed last month will extend deportation relief and work permits to 4 million illegal immigrants. It mostly affects those who have been in the country for more than 5 years and have children who are U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. Republican Representative Matt Salmon said, quote, our voters who sent us back here in a resounding way in the majority and retaking the majority in the Senate expected us to be a little more forceful in our fight, end quote. However, Republican leaders fear such spending bill language could elicit a veto from Obama and even a government shutdown, something they are determined to avoid. It has been 1 year since the government's last 16-day partial shutdown in an unsuccessful attempt to overturn Obama's health care law.
An unmanned NASA spacecraft designed to carry humans to Mars had its launch delayed on Thursday due to valve issues, gusty winds, and a boat getting too close to the launch site. Attached to a Delta IV Heavy rocket, the most powerful booster rocket in the world, Orion was slated to hurtle almost 3,600 miles into space before orbiting the Earth twice and re-entering the atmosphere. The flight was designed to test Orion's re-entry systems, including the parachutes and heat shields that are critical for a safe descent through Earth's atmosphere. The test flight was to be the most significant NASA launch since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. Speaking on the launch, lead flight director Mike Serafin said, quote, we haven't had this feeling in a while, launching an American spacecraft from American soil and beginning something new, in this case, exploring deep space. End quote. The $370 million launch has been tentatively rescheduled for Friday, well within NASA's current estimated 25-day window of opportunity.
In a video released Thursday, al-Qaeda's branch in Yemen threatened an American hostage who was the target of a rescue attempt by U.S. Special Forces last month. The terrorist group warned Washington not to try again and gave it 3 days to meet unspecified demands. The hostage is 33-year-old photojournalist Luke Summers, who says in the video footage, quote, my life is in danger, end quote. The footage appeared to mimic hostage videos released by al-Qaeda's rival, the Islamic State group. Al-Qaeda leader Nasser bin al-Ansi gave the U.S. 3 days to meet their demands, or Summers will, quote, meet his inevitable fate, end quote. He did not elaborate or explicitly state that Summers would be killed. Al-Qaeda experts and local Yemeni tribal figures suggested that by releasing the video now, Al-Qaeda may be trying to find a third party, such as Qatar, to work out a deal for Summers' release, as it did for at least one previous Westerner. Al-Qaeda's Yemen branch has been at the forefront of the propaganda war with the Islamic State group, whose leader declared a caliphate in areas of Iraq and Syria under his control and has spoken of expanding it to other countries. So far, al-Qaeda has rejected this declaration and continues to push back against the Islamic State's attempts to gain ground. It is believed that al-Qaeda is holding at least 3 other foreign hostages in addition to Summers.
Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed his country on Thursday following a harsh round of sanctions imposed on Russia by the European Union. The sanctions, designed to target Russia's finance, defense, and energy sectors, were implemented as part of a demand for a ceasefire effort in the ongoing Ukraine conflict. In the address, Putin accused the EU and its Western allies of using the Crimean crisis as a pretext to harm Russia's national integrity, saying, quote, the policy of containment wasn't thought up yesterday. It's been the plight of our country for many years. Whenever anyone thinks that Russia is getting too strong and independent, then these instruments are applied, end quote. Putin went on to assure the international community that Russia would maintain its ties to the rest of the world, despite the sanctions. The response came amid major financial losses resulting from the sanctions, including the Russian ruble's largest one-day decline since 1998 on Monday. U.S. Secretary of Defense John Kerry remarked on the address, saying, quote, "The United States and countries that support Ukraine's sovereignty and rights do not seek confrontation. It is not our design or desire that we see Russia isolated through its own actions," end quote.
Claremont County Police are searching for a missing Amelia man. Police say they believe 66-year-old Gary J. Geiger might have walked away from his residence Wednesday night. According to police, Geiger was last seen wearing a red checkered shirt and jeans, and possibly a fedora hat and black coat. Claremont County Police say that Geiger has been diagnosed with dementia. Anyone with any information concerning Geiger's whereabouts is asked to contact the sheriff's office.
The suspect in a shootout on Tuesday at a Florence Super 8 hotel has been identified as 16-year-old Richard Lee Patton Jr. of Covington. The shootout started after police were called to the hotel to address a noise complaint and the smell of marijuana from a room. Florence Police Lieutenant Roger Allen found one adult, 3 children, and 2 16-year-olds in the room, including Patton. When asked for identification, police say Patton began firing at the officer with a handgun. Despite the brief shootout, the older individuals fled, leaving the children behind. Witnesses told police that Patton also fled the room before committing suicide shortly after. The Super 8 is known among Florence police as a hotbed of criminal activity, averaging 5 911 calls per week. There is no word on the status of the other young men who were in the room. Florence police will investigate the incident, while the Boone County Sheriff's Office will deal with the criminal investigation. That's all from this desk. Good luck to everyone next week for your final week of classes. Up next, we've got Taylor Yock giving her first Xavier Sports Report.
Happy Friday, Xavier fans. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving break, and welcome to another edition of the Xavier Sports Report. I'm Taylor Yock. In the third round of the NCAA tournament, your Muskies faced off with the Creighton Blue Jays after pulling off an amazing win over the Indiana Hoosiers. The Muskies played a well-fought game but came up short, losing 2-1 against a top-ranked opponent. Freshman Corey Brown scored the lone goal for Xavier. The guys made a nice run in the tournament but came up short. Our seniors, one of the most successful classes in Xavier soccer history, will be missed next year. Best of luck to the team's rebuilding effort this offseason. Over Thanksgiving break, the men's basketball team traveled out to Malibu, California to compete in the Wooden Legacy Tournament. The team went 1-2 with a win over San Diego and losses to UTEP and Long Beach State, who they beat earlier in the year at the Cintas Center. Trayvon Blewett and Matt Stainbrook were Xavier's top 2 scorers in the tournament, and defensively, James Farr grabbed 26 rebounds in 3 games. Xavier's next game is at home Saturday against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Coming into this game, the Muskies are 5-2 with Trayvon Blewett and Matt Stainbrook averaging 16 points per game. Stainbrook is also the team's leading rebounder with 8.1 per game, and Dee Davis moves the ball around the offense while averaging 6 assists per game. Alabama senior guard Levi Randolph is their team's point, rebounding, and assist leader so far this year. The Muskies' next 5 games are filled with tournament resume boosters, including 3 home games against Alabama, IUPUI, and Florida Gulf Coast, and 2 away games against Missouri and Auburn. Looking at our Lady Musketeers, who have a 5-2 record and are now coming off a 65-42 loss to a highly talented St. John's team. After their first loss of the season to the Virginia Cavaliers, the Lady Muskies went on a 3-game winning streak, beating Binghamton, Presbyterian, and Robert Morris in overtime. Jenna Crittenden hit a game-tying 3-pointer with 10 seconds left in the game to send it into overtime. They outscored Robert Morris 10-5 in the overtime period to make a come from behind victory after trailing by 7 points at halftime. For the next few games, the Lady Muskies have 2 home games against Monmouth and Lipscomb and 3 away games against Middle Tennessee, the crosstown shootout game against UC on December 14th, and Kennesaw State. In the latest Xavier swimming news, 6 members from both the men's and women's teams travel to Greensboro, North Carolina this weekend to compete at the AT&T Winter Nationals. Top swimmers from all over the country will appear at the meet, including Olympic gold medalists Katie Ledecky, Nathan Adrian, and Cullen Jones. Returners to the meet from Xavier include junior Luke Johans and senior Carolyn Stewart, both who will be competing in 2 events. Other competitors representing Xavier include Arthur Smith, Eric Burnett, Michael Gordon, and Paxton Drew. Good luck to the reps from our Big East champion men's team as they continue their quest for a repeat. And now to the volleyball court, where the women's team started at the Big East tournament last Friday against number 1 seed Creighton. Sophomore Abby Bessler led the match with 20 kills, adding to her total team high of 420 kills. On Saturday night, Bessler was added to the Big East champion all-tournament team, where she is seeded 5th. That's it for the edition of Xavier Sports Report. Wishing the best of luck to all of our athletes. I'm Taylor Yock, and have a great weekend.